Assalamualaikum dan salam sejahtera. Kita bertemu lagi dalam Belakang Pentas bersama saya MK Ridzuan dan
Kak Jenn.
kenapa sentiasa ada pause?
I always have to think to myself Kak Jenn, Kak Jenn I guess.
Yes. Di mana kita membicarakan topik-topik dalam dunia muzik lah basically setiap minggu. So Kak Jenn, apa kali ni kita nak borak?
So kita ada ramai musicians yang self-taught dan ada ramai musicians macam awak yang have formal music education.
Yep.
What is your thought on formal music education versus rock and roll?
Versus rock and roll. Oh, so topik kita hari ni formal music education dan rock and roll.
Yes.
Okay. Now, saya of course bila sebagai seorang yang ada formal education pasal music, kita nampak from different angle lah berbanding rock and roll. Pada saya dia tak ada which one is better than the other. Tak, dia sama je. Both ada kelebihan masing-masing, both ada kelemahan juga masing-masing sebenarnya. Sebab contoh, mungkin orang tak nampak kelemahan kalau kita ni yang terlalu belajar. Because bila kita belajar, it's all about the rules, the theory, the apa semua. Kita kadang akan rasa terikat, restricted dengan the rules, the theory. You kena buat macam ni, kalau tak salah lah apa semua. Where orang yang rock and roll, dia lagi rock and roll lah. Dia lagi hentam saja apa dia nak buat.
Experimental lah. Dia ada creativity lebih terbuka lah tu.
Sebab dia tak ada all the rules yang dia belajar tu. But at some point benda tu true, tapi at some point juga dia ada kelemahan kalau rock and roll di mana dia nak proceed pergi lagi jauh tu. Mungkin ada limitation kat Jen. Sebab orang kata music ni kan language yang universal. You belajar all the togeh-togeh tu, you baca togeh, Mak Saleh datang pun boleh baca. Orang Arab yang belajar muzik pun datang boleh baca. Orang Afrika pun datang boleh baca. So that means we all speak the same language. Berbanding kalau yang rock and roll tu dia tak boleh baca benda tu, that means ada communication barrier lah dekat situ antara dia dengan maybe international musician ke ataupun orang-orang yang belajar. But it depends, berbalik kepada you buat muzik tu, jalan you macam mana kan. So dia boleh jadi education tu important, dia boleh jadi education tu secondary. Mana-mana tak kisah.
A lot of people say ada yang mengata that formal education for music is very expensive.
Oh yeah.
Because you find that even to go for piano lessons
mahal kan?
Mahal. And then you have to own a piano.
Yeah.
So because there's nothing, you have to practice.
Yes,
there's no doubt about it. You cannot just learn a musical instrument and tak practice.
Itu memang satu konsep yang salah lah.
So is that maybe a reason why a lot of people don't have formal education for music?
Maybe daripada orang ramai yang saya kenal, because dia orang, the only benda yang ada dengan dia orang adalah minat yang begitu mendalam tentang muzik ni. But they don't have access. Dia orang tak ada access kat mana nak belajar muzik. Sebab bila saya buat TikTok kelas muzik MK Ridzuan tu, ramai yang macam tanya, bang, kat mana saya nak boleh belajar muzik? Bang, macam mana nak belajar muzik? Sebab kalau zaman saya nak belajar muzik dulu, saya punya persepsi adalah muzik ni adalah satu education yang bangsawan itu. Tak semua orang boleh access. Sebab mahal. Memang every month you kena commit bayar ratus-ratus untuk belajar muzik. Lepas tu nak kena beli instrument lagi. Memang mahal. And most parents tak mampu nak provide music education kepada anak-anak dia orang.
I mean, a lot of people cakap music education tu adalah something like extracurricular kalau boleh afford, but actually music education tu even for kids, I think it's a very important thing to have, because music is a different realm. It's a different place and it does so much for you. It opens you up to so many more things.
Yeah, true. Sebab Kak Jenn, okay, kita kalau ambil contoh kan, Finland, diorang ada like the best education system in the world. The best education system in the world. Dan diorang cakap benda ni tak boleh jadi kalau, music tu has to be part of the education. Sebab kita, mungkin orang kita pandang, ada muzik punya kelas ke apa ke, dia orang rasa macam buang masa lah benda ni, bukan nak pakai masa dewasa ke apa benda ke. Tapi one thing yang orang tak tahu adalah music is, kita ajar muzik tu bukan nak suruh semua orang jadi pemuzik, tak. Betul. But dia ada certain aspek dalam kita punya fiziologi di mana music tu ajar kita punya muscle coordination, kita punya brain usage. Sebab brain kita ada dua hemisfer. Nampak tak? Scientific dah saya masuk ni. Dia ada dua side otak kita tu, kiri kanan. So ada yang logik, ada yang kreatif. most education kita focus on the logic, the scientific, the mathematic, but people tak go yang the other one, tak develop. So most of kita Malaysians, kita punya the creative thinking tu underdeveloped, brain kita tu. Sebab orang rasa macam music ke, art form, dancing ke apa, benda tu dia orang rasa buang masa.
But that is a way of expression, self-expression.
Yes, also, betul.
And I rasa music harus if you want to kekal budaya, seni, I think kids need to be taught these things. And we cannot question why anak kita tak berbudaya kalau kita tak mengajar mereka budaya. So, right? So things like folk songs, mampus lah.
Ini saya seronok ni nak sembang macam ni.
But it's true. I mean, lagu-lagu macam Lenggang-lenggang kangkung, Lanjut semut lah, benda folk songs.
Yes.
Saya rasa penting untuk orang tahu benda ni kan.
Betul. Ya, Kak Jenn, kalau orang macam berfikiran yang music education tu, not just music lah, any art education tu tak penting, kita pandang macam ni lah, civilization yang, the great civilization yang ada, yang kita semua tahu, macam mana orang boleh tahu itu adalah satu civilization? Because peninggalan-peninggalan art yang ada tu, the music form, the architecture, the painting, dari situ orang learn pasal civilization tu. So imagine kalau sesuatu bangsa tu tak ada culture, tak ada arts, orang akan rasa macam ini, I mean validity culture tu jadi tak ada, sebab you tak ada peninggalan dalam bentuk yang orang boleh nampak ni, dari segi music dia, dari segi architecture dia. I mean Roman ke, kita nak tengok Egyptian, yang ancient Egyptian ke, semua orang akan kaji balik dia orang punya arts, dia orang punya handwriting, dia orang punya poetry, dia orang punya music. Daripada situ dia nampak gahnya sesuatu kebudayaan tu. So untuk orang yang kata art ni tak penting, fikirlah balik. So kalau especially orang Malaysia kan, so kalau kita pergi overseas, benda ni pernah jadi kat saya, bila kita pergi overseas and then kita, let's say lah, I play jazz, tapi I play jazz talk style US punya kan, orang US tak akan pandang kita, Kak Jenn.
Yeah, of course.
Unless kalau kita masuk elemen Malay kat situ, yes, ke kan, ada Jawa ke, orang akan cakap this is something different. I mean that's how we put our culture, our nation on the map.
Exactly.
So that's how important. I rasa because benda-benda ni lah orang-orang yang so-called negara maju tu, diorang sangat titik beratkan art education, because it really puts you on the map. Sebab art tu lah you punya identity, you punya culture, budaya, kaum ni punya expression, yang akan confirm berbeza. Orang Melayu, let's say orang Malaysia dengan Indonesia, tak payah pandang jauh dah, tu pun dah nampak beza.
Honestly,
kan?
I think that's the reason why Singapore also places a lot of importance on culture kan? and the arts.
Yes.
Because they know that when they have the arts, the world looks at them and says, cultured nation.
Yes.
And it's easier for them to feel more comfortable to deal, because they are forward thinking nation with arts.
Yeah.
I mean, and when you teach arts to kids, you, like you said tadi, bukan kita nak buat musician ke, artis ke, kita looking to educate them about art and how to respect the arts,
yes,
and what people in the arts do, and eventually become supporters of the arts, buyers of the tickets, buyers of the merch.
Yes.
And that has to be started very young.
Yeah, betul.
Kita punya perception of the arts or creative people here is terrible. Everybody looks creative. You do creative, whatever. It's changing now. We can see that it's changing now. But having said that, do you think that a musician at some point of their life, if you want to go further forward, you need some kind of education?
Definitely, Kak Jenn. Even kalau dalam Islam pun, kita pun macam cakap sentiasa kena menimba ilmu. Sampai ke dalam kubur pun kita masih nak kena belajar something. So benda tu sama juga dalam music. You tak boleh, I mean you kena always upgrade yourself. I mean bila you upgrade yourself, you invest on yourself, meaning you start to belajar new skill, new knowledge, because that is the only way to go forward. And sebab kalau you stuck dekat situ je with whatever knowledge yang you dah sedia ada, you akan apa orang kata terkurung dekat situ je. Orang lain dah move forward, especially dunia sekarang ni everything move sangat laju. So kalau you tak keep up, you tak learn new things, you akan memang akan tertinggal. And especially untuk musician sama juga. Kalau let's say you start dengan seorang yang macam self-taught main gitar kan, okay, you dah start pergi gig apa semua tu, you dah memang rasa macam okay, I want to do music. Chances are you sekarang ni akan kerja full time benda lain, but then you just pergi gig or perform on weekends. But kalau you betul nak proceed untuk jadi musician, you kena upgrade your knowledge, because kalau you tak ada the knowledge, macam mana nak baca score contohnya, you tak boleh nak pergi session untuk any concert ke ataupun any shows ke untuk recording ke
if you don't read,
because you kalau you tak read. Sebab like it or not, kalau tengok dekat program TV kan, all the musician you nampak dia orang tu tengah baca score, because that's no way you boleh main lagu 20 lagu and different arrangement dalam masa preparation yang sangat singkat unless you know how to read. Sebab kalau you tak tahu baca notes, so biasanya you akan just main benda yang sama, and paling-paling pun you akan main sama macam originals recording. You tak boleh, kalau kita ada tambah attack kat sini, kita tambah arrangement kat sini, chord dia kita ubah sini. Semua benda tu kena return, kalau tak you akan lupa.
Kita mempersamakan belajar music macam belajar language.
Yes.
If conversational, we can talk, but I cannot write
betul.
to you. And if I can write, then I can express my feelings even more. So most of the times in music, we learn to read music, but not to write music.
Betul.
But writing music is as important as reading music, because writing music teaches you so much. If you can transcribe something, if you can take a piece of music and break it down in transcription, I think that alone teaches you a lot. Macam mana orang construct lagu, kenapa lagu ni macam ni, kenapa scale macam tu, kenapa pakai chords macam ni. I mean, there's a reason for everything. A downward scale and upward scale. Everything has a reason.
So basically, if you have the knowledge, dia macam opens up a new world yang you tiba-tiba you nampak everything. You start to, ini tak tipu once you ada the knowledge, you boleh analyse lagu, you tahu nak notate balik, you transcribe balik everything, you akan nampak Arab punya scale Arab macam ni, scale Jawa macam ni. So you start to nampak the nature of the kejadian tu, scale-nya begini-begini, dan macam mana benda tu affect culture tu punya mungkin gaya bercakap ataupun music feel dia semua tu. So you start to nampak different angles of music tu. You dah tak nampak dia sebagai music saja, you dah nampak other things as well.
I think I mean, although being a self-taught musician is really you have creative freedom, you experiment, but if you know what to use, I'll use Sting as an example, because Sting is a studied musician. You listen to his scales, nobody ever plays his scales. In pop, he's using that type of knowledge that he has gained to infuse into pop, so nobody can copy him. Nobody, because dia ada that very unique sound that he's developed.
True. So itu I mean, pemuzik yang brilliant, dia belajar music. Saya suka benda ni. You belajar music, you belajar all the rules only to break it.
Yes. Betul. I agree that.
Kan? So you belajar benda tu, and at least you tahu apa yang you break, dan you tahu you ada reason. Every notes yang you buat tu, kenapa you letak dia dekat situ. I mean, benda tu important. Kalau you rock and roll to certain degree you boleh, but then you dah start kena work dengan arranger lah, you kena start work dengan orang ni. You might like it or you might not like it. Orang lain punya campur tangan. Maybe dia dah ubah you punya intention terhadap lagu tu yang original kan, tapi nak buat macam mana, you tak ada that knowledge, so you have to work around with people yang ada knowledge, so maybe you lose some of the control dekat you punya karya tu.
But again, I think that's quite normal, because again, we do work as teams everywhere we look. I mean, the two biggest examples for no formal education is probably the Beatles. I mean, that one is langgar every rule in the rule book. The blinking arrangement pun, whoa, I would never have thought about that.
But diorang visionary kat Jenn.
Yes.
Diorang like pergi eksperimen, pergi India.
Visionary though?
Yes, betul.
And then Michael Jackson. You look at Michael Jackson, that's soul right there. It's not taught.
It's not taught. I mean, I'm sure dia work dengan orang yang ada knowledge. I mean, dia punya team yang padu lah. To get to, okay, siapa contoh kalau kita punya local yang Kak Jenn nampak, okay, dia ni berjaya tapi dia tak ada pun formal education. Anyone yang you...
I mean, actually, most of our big artists, our top artists, have no formal education in music. Pemuzik, I would say most of the pemuzik that are session players or producers or musical directors, they have formal training. The only one that hasn't got formal training, surprisingly enough, is Tok Ram. Tok Ram doesn't. He doesn't. He studied everything himself. He doesn't have a piece of paper. He was even offered to go to Berkeley on a scholarship, but because he wanted to do Melayu, he wanted to work in a Malay music industry, he decided to stay back and concentrate on placing his expertise within the Malay music industry. So, but he taught himself orchestration and all. I mean, it really is mind-blowing when you think to yourself, gosh, somebody went to the library and studied this. Why would you go to the library? But that's passion.
Betul.
That's what drives you. And we have a lot of musicians that bring themselves to a certain degree. Riz, for example, guitar player, Arwah Aji and all this. They've all played in clubs. They're all self-taught musicians. But at some point of time in their life, they realize that if I want to take this seriously, I need to learn how to read. So, and I tell you, that's the hardest thing is once you've been doing things your way, ikut suka hati.
Suddenly you kena ada rule.
Yes, it's very difficult. I mean, I can feel that. If you ask me to do theory again today, I'll be like, what? Are you crazy? No way. Because it's much easier to go into your kepala when you have nothing, or when you're younger, or when you're 6 years old.
Yes, it's more genuine.
It's easy. But when you're like 20 years old and you're already so used to bad fingering, I mean, it's not bad fingering, it's fingering your way.
It's become a habit lah. Yes, that's how you operate.
It's so difficult to break that habit and follow the rules. So
even untuk saya yang belajar pun, Kak Jenn, I mean, we all learn from each other tau. Macam for example kan, saya belajar formal, I know the note ketul-ketul tu, chord apa, selepas ni chord apa. But in real life situation, chances are orang dah break benda tu. And untuk saya nak recreate something, dia macam kita dah belajar, ini betul, ini salah, ini. Saya berlawan dalam diri saya nak break benda tu. Dia macam I ada crisis dalam diri tu, macam I kena break benda ni, tapi betul ke tak kalau I break?
Wah, crisis
sebab at the end of the day kan, orang buat lagu, orang tak kisah kau pakai teori tu, kat sini tak boleh ada sharp 11, kat sini tak boleh ada ni.
Nobody even knows what a sharp 11 is lah.
At the end of the day, orang just sedap. Sedap ke tak sedap, itu je kan. So betul. That's why saya macam saya rasa orang yang belajar pun ada problem ni juga, di mana kita nak kena start untuk tone down sangat, jangan terlalu rigid nak ikut teori sangat. I mean, that is the fight yang saya sendiri ada benda tu.
So when, I mean, the way we're talking now, it's like it's best kalau kita ada half and half.
Yes.
Dua dunia.
Betul.
Because even if you go to university now and study everything you have about music, but you don't play dekat luar, you will never understand. And kita punya culture is maybe different from what you learn. You could be learning classical music in your syllabus, or you could be learning some other don't know what music entomology or something. Tapi bila you keluar, it's like
completely different. Ni interesting. Saya nak bawa masuk sikit sebab saya duk borak dengan member-member, sebab saya classical background, jadi saya kenal dengan member-member classical.
Wait a minute, classical as in
orkestra, Beethoven, Mozart semua.
Serious?
Itu sebenarnya itu saya punya background. Memang saya start dari situ.
Kedah boleh classical ke?
Of course, Kedah ingat tak boleh ke? Siapa kata. Tapi Kak Jenn, yang interesting tu kita orang sembang sesama kita orang. Saya risau because a lot of friends yang start untuk demotivated. I mean especially the strings players lah. Sebab masa kita belajar, Okay, you excited pergi practice and then you nak main lagu Tchaikovsky, you nak main lagu tu, nak main lagu ni because you nak ada performance. But then bila you jump into the kerja punya life, you tak ada. How many gigs yang you main Tchaikovsky? None.
Unless you work at MPO.
Unless you work at MPO. Even MPO pun sekarang bukannya every month main heavy like classical song. So basically you dah tak ada drive tu. Balik-balik you akan main pop balik. So dia macam, aku nak audition masuk MPO kan main susah lagi lagu, tapi main lagu pop. I mean, okay, because demand dia begitu. Tapi diorang, these are people yang dah start untuk hilang the passion untuk practice even. Sebab dia dah rasa macam dah jadi rutin, dah jadi kerja. So main benda senang je kan. So diorang dah start rasa macam okay, dia dah stuck, dia dah tak boleh nak grow because dah tak ada opportunity untuk grow. I mean sebagai pemain orkestra, I mean ada je sebenarnya opportunity, tapi because diorang ni, termasuk saya dulu, kita belajar untuk baca. Letak skor main dalam orkestra, nyak, memang kita boleh baca. You terus conduct je, kita memang upside down also baca. You transpose sana sini, kita depan belakang kiri kanan, kita boleh baca. Tapi cuba you tarik dia skor, shit, kita tak tahu nak main apa. I mean you campak I dekat jazz band, I kaku tak tahu nak improvise apa. Tapi orang-orang yang dulu tak pernah belajar, tapi diorang just pergi club main, bam. Memang diorang langgar everything, but at some point diorang dah, kau bagilah progression macam mana pun, diorang boleh main.
But you know that their rules is slightly different.
Yes.
They have rules too. I mean, jazz looks like it doesn't have rules, and it is based on improvisation, but it's improvisation within a framework. It's not just mind board. According to the scale, it's lean back and let that person do solo. Dia punya, then I come in. So ada unspoken rules.
Unspoken rule, ya, betul. So that's the thing yang saya risau. I mean, orang yang terlalu rigid, classical apa semua ni, kita campak dia susah nak survive. I mean, dia macam, kalau yang ada inisiatif untuk belajar how to improvise, then it's fine lah. Maksudnya you boleh venture into different genres ke, you start turun gig ke, that's where you akan start rasa excited balik because you tak main music because of ini just try to get something, some bread on the table kan. Ni you buat because you enjoy, you learn something new. I mean the learning process tu is always something yang motivate the musician untuk grow. Tapi bila kita tak ada benda tu, saya risau banyak orang demotivated. Like banyak orang yang dah start untuk, maybe I start to cari buat digital marketing ke, or jadi buat IT ke, because dia dah rasa lose passion tu dah. But then interesting juga sebab kadang ada orang tanya, yang ini kita masuk balik ke kita punya education tadi kan, macam kalau dekat yang overseas punya Kak Jenn, saya ada jumpa banyak macam orang buat online classes, piano online class for jazz ke apa benda ke, and then orang buat e-book lah semua tu. What do you think benda tu function tak? Benda tu really works ke tak? This online classes.
I think online class and stuff like that is great for introductory. You go there and you get inspired, or you feel like you want to play like that. But in the end, I think you still need to go to a class with
real teacher.
I think that's what any creative thing is about. You need a mentor. You need somebody to look up to, because you need to know that what you're doing is possible. I want to become the greatest violin player in the world, or I want to play violin like so and so, or such and such, Vanessa May, or I mean whichever way you choose to go. We will never, as a creative business, you would never, although some purists do, would never go, oh, he wants to go commercial. It's like the violin player, what's his name, Nigel Vivaldi.
I terfikir Nigel uncle.
No. Hello, wrong channel. Tring. Okay.
Goreng, okay.
But he has made playing violin very rock and roll.
Yeah.
It's just like all those that like Vanessa May and stuff. They've made it more exciting for a younger generation.
Betul.
It's not, and the way they interpret the music is also very, very upbeat, very movement oriented, because that's what people want to see. They want to see that music is harder than, if you make it look too easy, people like next. But when you make it look hard,
orang akan jauh,
yes,
apa tu kan.
Whoa, that's amazing. So everybody nowadays is beginning to realize this, and classical musicians are beginning to understand they have to popularize their classics in order for it to also appeal to a larger audience or a newer audience.
Yes.
But I think education, I'm 100% for people learning
with guru lah.
Yes.
Okay. Learning with guru, I understand your sentiment, Cik. Macam kita tengah debate pula kan.
Yeah.
Okay. Saya agree at some point, sebab macam kalau saya belajar online pun macam yes, ada material. Thank God saya ada certain foundation ataupun basic to start with, and then saya boleh faham. Okay, contohnya kalau saya nak belajar piano, dia main macam ni, I understand apa yang dia main.
Stupid question. Did you play first or did you go straight into education, into formal education? SPM straight into formal?
Saya main dulu sebelum saya boleh baca.
You played a little bit lah.
Yep.
You played what? Classical?
Classical. Saya play trombone.
Quartet.
Trombone.
Wait.
Sebab main dalam wind orchestra dulu.
Oh yes.
Yeah. And then
sekolah.
Kat sekolah. So daripada situ baru saya macam baru faham note-note tu sebenarnya. Sebelum tu tak, kita main ikut je sini, apa sini main. Kau main je ni, kita pun main. Saya tak faham betul-betul tu. But dengan beredarnya masa saya start untuk faham lah benda tu. Then daripada situ saya boleh progress sendiri. I mean, bila kita dah boleh baca, we can explore more things lah. Cuma ini yang saya tadi nak tanya Kak Jenn tu, you cakap pasal orang nak kena belajar, kena berguru. Macam saya pun, kalau saya at some point tu saya jadi rimas, saya macam tak boleh, I need to jumpa some adik guru, because saya perlukan orang bagi tahu betul tak saya main ni. Sebab saya sentiasa pegang, kalau saya praktis benda yang salah, saya akan jadi bagus buat benda salah. So kalau saya betul nak jadi bagus buat benda yang betul, saya kena jumpa orang yang boleh bagi tahu saya ini salah ke apa benda. So saya kena cari adik guru lah kan, macam some expert dalam benda yang saya nak belajar tu. Tapi ada setengah-setengah adik guru ni, contohlah kita cakap, let's say kita pergi jumpa Tok Ram. Saya ni nak pergi belajar dengan Tok Ram ni. Tok Ram tak ada belajar formal education, so saya nak pergi belajar dengan Tok Ram. Adakah benda tu pun kita anggap sebagai education ke macam mana ke? I mean, kita belajar bukan daripada dia punya teori, tapi kita belajar daripada dia punya experience tu. So does it work?
Definitely. I think there are two types of things that formal education needs to give. Of course, it's the tauges and the stuff like that. That's definitely a part of the formal education. But things that are not written in books, soft skill, understanding what to do in certain situations, that you can learn from and to accelerate your learning, a mentor or adi guru can help you accelerate and give you the right tips and tricks that you need to know for the way that you want to go lah.
Make sense. I mean, at some point memang kena ada like real human yang tengok. Macam contoh, saya selalu dengar orang-orang musician yang contoh main violin, dia ajar online. Sebenarnya yang dia tak puas bila dia mengajar online adalah dia tak boleh betulkan posture student dia.
Betul.
I mean, that is important. You hanya boleh nampak dekat video, tapi you tak tahu kat belakang dia macam mana. But kalau you ada dekat situ, you boleh adjust belakang dia supaya jangan bongkok, jangan slouch, and then posture bahu dia semua tu. I mean, yang tu really need human touch. So adakah muzik ni tak boleh buat secara online sebenarnya? Kau macam mana?
I mean, that's why saya kata sampai a certain tahap you can do it online or you can learn from a YouTube video, but there's nothing like playing live and interacting with other musicians, because then only you can see even shooting yourself performing. If you're really into performance, I would shoot myself performing to check what am I doing on top of stage. Am I sticking out my tongue and playing cross-eyed ke apa ke? You don't know. So yes, bimbingan kerjaya, pandangan industri, these kind of things a mentor can tell you, and and at the same time you're actually even networking when you talk to a mentor. The mentor will see how good you are and say, hey, why don't you go and play here, why don't I introduce you to this person. So there's a lot of benefit you get from interacting.
Kak Jenn, kalau saya boleh tambah pasal benda ni, which is interesting, saya sentiasa nak cakap dengan orang pasal benda ni. I mean, especially kalau ada orang tanya, bang, macam mana saya nak progress dalam saya punya berminat nak menjadikan muzik sebagai kerjaya. Saya selalu cakap, cari mentor. Kalau contoh ada budak ni main gitar, dia macam mana abang saya nak lagi maju kan. Saya akan cakap, kau kena pergi, tak ada cara lain, kau kena pergi menepek dan pergi annoy your idola. Let's say kalau you suka siapa? You suka Cak An contohnya kan. Pergi annoy Cak An sampai Cak An tu meluat kat kau kan, lantak itu pandai-pandai kau lah. Tapi kalau you manage untuk buat relationship dengan dia, networking dengan dia and follow dia, sebab kita banyak case study bukan case study, tapi banyak situasi di mana, saya ambil contoh macam mana pen base, macam mana dia start kan. Dia follow all the basic, dia follow arwah siapa tu? Kelly arwah Abang Kelly dulu. Lepas tu follow
many of them tag for their mentors first.
Yes, dia orang jadi tag je dulu sampai satu tahap tu mentor dia orang macam Pen, aku tak boleh datang untuk soundcheck. Kau soundcheck kan?
Yes.
That is the moment where orang-orang lain ni start nampak, bagus lah tag dia ni sebenarnya kan?
Betul.
That's when orang macam
exposure to the industry. Yes.
So that's how you network. Bukan saja, of course lah, you punya mentor akan macam kenal, ni Pen, aku punya tag, budak ni bagus ni. Kita musician, kalau kita ada tag yang bagus, memang kita seronok nak jaja dia kat semua orang. Sebab kita tahu dia bagus kan?
I mean, there's so many things that you could be a tech, you could be work in the studio with a musician. I mean, our most recent person coming out into the industry is Burke.
Yes.
Burke sat with in Baby Boss together with Mac and all, and that really benefited her having that, and she has her own mentor, but yet her mentor pointed her in the correct direction, and she went
right into the industry, terus perform all big gigs.
So it really does matter your interaction with the industry apart from your learning. And this is where your learning it helps to accelerate everything much quicker. If you are self-taught, it may be harder for you to explain terminology, explain music in a certain way. Whereas when you school, you understand how to verbalize.
Because you know all the terms kan.
Yeah. But again, but I will say it doesn't ever stop a musician who really wants to go forward if they haven't had formal education. But formal education just opens more roads for you, I think.
I'm glad Kak Jenn mention pasal formal education opens more roads. Sebab maybe someone dia macam dia minat music, but not necessarily dia nak jadi performer or dia nak jadi composer, because when you masuk, contohlah kalau kita ikut university yang offer music ni, kita ada diploma in music, benda tu general, so basically you just belajar all the toge-toge apa semua tu, and then bila degree you start to specialize kan. Kita ada music business apa semua tu kan, kita start belajar management. So once you learn, you masuk dalam formal education punya kita panggil macam circle ke dunia ke, you start to nampak ada banyak lagi job opportunities kan yang you boleh explore. So it really helps. I mean, you mungkin tak pernah tahu, kita ada music business, kita ada art management. So all these things yang macam you still get to enjoy music, tapi you jadi orang yang buat management. And kalau tanya saya pun, I would prefer to have orang yang ada music background untuk run the business, because they understand both. They understand the business and they understand the musician,
the art,
rather than orang yang buat business tu adalah orang yang bukan orang art pun.
Betul.
I mean, at some point bagus, dia ada different perspective, but we need someone yang boleh bridge these two. Sebab orang seni ni ego sikit, dia belagak sikit, dia macam dalam dunia dia sikit.
It is difficult to manage creative talent because it's different. And I mean, a lot of people talk about this ego thing like it's a bad thing, but I think in art you need an ego. If you don't have an ego, you won't be able to produce that kind of that kind of artistic talent, which that requires ego.
It requires ego. But can we say like that ego needs to be kept in check?
Yeah, no, definitely. I think any ego needs to be kept in check, but at the same time, you do need. I mean, not everybody can get on top of a stage and perform. You need ego to be able to do that.
Yeah, betul.
I cannot.
Lah,
I cannot get up on top of stage. It would kill me to go there and even try to think about entertaining a crowd.
Mm-hmm.
But somebody who really has an ego, who really believes in themselves, can get up there and do it. You know, go there and sing and entertain. So yes, I would say it's not a bad thing, but yes, an ego to a certain degree, when it becomes self-absorbed, then it becomes a different story. But
so, boleh ke kalau saya macam cakap ego ni dia macam a tool, dia macam pisau. You choose what you do with that ego,
yes,
kan?
Betul.
So you nak potong sayur bagi semua orang makan ke, atau you nak bunuh orang pakai benda tu, kan? Yeah, so as long as you tahu macam mana nak manage you punya ego, then it should be okay.
So there are a bunch of ways of getting formal education, and of course it's starting from young, and your parents send you to piano school or violin school. It's always piano or violin or guitar. Anybody who tells their parents they want to play drums, you're dead, because the parents are thinking, where am I going to get a drum set, and how am I going to and it's going to be noisy. Your neighbor's going to come after you, unless you have a bungalow. Sorry lah. But you can start off that way, and most people allow their kids to do that as a pastime. But once the kid says, I want to do music professionally, God help you, that view may change. People like music. But you know, honestly speaking, any profession that you want to do, you want to be a doctor or a lawyer or whatever it is, inclusive of being a musician or an artist, I think you need to again believe in yourself, in what you want to do, and number two, you really need to upskill your basic talent, whatever it is. And so formal education is a part of a way of upskilling your basic talent, so that you can later on determine what you want to settle on doing. You want to be a sound engineer, you want to be a musician, you want to be a you could be so many things as a musician.
Ini saya agree. I mean, dia berbalik kepada education, formal education tadi, it opens up new doors yang you akan nampak lagi banyak. Sebab music tu is not just you main music, it's not just you menyanyi, kan. Saya even ada kawan masa belajar dekat universiti dulu, dia ni budak vokal. So dia masuk ke universiti tu, lepas tu dia keep failing, I mean subjects lah. Mungkin ramai tak tahu sebenarnya subjek music dekat mana-mana universiti yang offer subjek music, kita punya subjek adalah subjek yang paling tinggi failure rate. Failure rate apa? Peratus kegagalan. I mean student gagal tu banyak berbanding dengan subjek-subjek daripada fakulti-fakulti dan program lain yang dia offer.
Because people go into music because they got nowhere else to go or what?
Kak Jenn, saya tanya kawan saya ni, kenapa macam ni semua, kan? Dia kata macam, aku ingatkan muzik senang. Dia ingatkan dia masuk universiti belajar muzik tu macam masuk AF, Kak Jenn. Dia legit dia cakap, aku ingatkan macam masuk AF. Tengok AF macam best, kan. Oh, belajar ni ada kelas, kena marah sikit-sikit.
I'm sure your friend is watching this at home. Wan cakap pasal saya ke?
Mungkin dia tahu siapa dia, tapi alhamdulillah sekarang dia pun dah dia found dia punya jalan sendirilah. I mean, still active buat music. So
I mean, honestly speaking, the love of music is very difficult to go away. You can try whatever it is you want. Your parents can force you to do whatever it is you want. Tapi benda tu akan come back and haunt you.
Betul. The rest of your life. Itu
so,
jiwa you.
So I rasa baik you pursue what you love to do. Don't waste time, because if you waste time, you're going to, like at 40 you're going to say, I should play guitar. It's going to be too late. You should.
Tapi Kak Jenn, I mean benda ni interesting sebab untuk saya sendiri pun I pursue my passion lah. Tapi I selalu cakap dekat orang-orang yang baru, kan, musician yang baru ni, especially yang dekat universities, I cakap seriously, life sebagai musician tak senang. Kita nampak macam happynya kau pergi main kat sini, orang wedding pergi main, ada event tu pergi main, ada konsert tu pergi main. But kita punya income very unexpected. Even sekarang saya berada di point yang saya masih terumbang ambing kat Jenn, masih kita
we're in a gig economy lah. We
kita
don't
gig
know
economy.
when our next salary is coming.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
Tapi I'm happy the fact that saya masih buat benda yang saya suka, which is music.
Yeah.
And I cannot imagine myself in other bidang.
All the more reason that you have to start looking at other things that you want to do with what you love to do. I mean, whether like what we said, whether you want to teach, you want to play, you want to whatever it is you do, anything that you want to do and succeed in doing it takes a while. It takes time investment, number one, for you to really push it. Number two, it takes a while before you succeed. It's not Maggie Mee. It's not going to happen overnight.
Instant.
It really isn't. Ask anyone. I mean, look at Michelle Yeoh. She won an Oscar. How long did it take?
How long, betul.
How much time invested and how much she had to believe in what she did. I mean, she did kung fu, kena walap lah, jump here, jump there, all over the place, and then eventually try and get into more serious movies. And so again, she's adjusting her route in her life every time. She said, okay, enough of doing the kung fu thing. I need to go on to show that I'm able to do more serious movies and or comedies. So at least you don't get picked for the same role all the time over and over and over again.
Dah kat situ je juga kat situ kan.
I mean, sama juga dengan musician yang you may love to do classical, you may love to do jazz, but you have to open up your mind, and going into other areas teaches you more things that you can do in what you love.
That one saya agree, because I think perjalanan saya pun macam tu, because daripada classical saya pergi ke traditional, daripada traditional saya pergi ke metal, lepas tu God knows what, saya sekarang duk layan EDM pula. I mean, it's a constant learning process, and probably itulah yang akan buatkan saya jumpa this is what my sound. Because of the experience yang I gather. I mean, I would encourage the same untuk musician yang dekat sana juga. Education is not just formal lah. I mean, street education yang you belajar daripada you punya sifu-sifu, you punya adik guru, and then especially the experience yang memang macam Kak Jenn cakap tadi, tak ada dalam textbook. Yang itu memang tak ada cara lain nak belajar. Memang you kena jump into the industry and jump to the real world and just play.
But I mean, the real world is also your biggest teacher. I mean, you learn skills on top of a stage, but you berdepan dengan the most unforgiving cikgu ever is the public. Is penonton. That's the biggest unforgiving. You salah, I mean you die, or you buat benda bodoh, you just like the last episode which we talked about. I mean, that's the school of hard knocks. So, but you need to go through this. I think every artist and every musician will come to a point where they played the wrong song. Everybody else in the orchestra is playing song number 4, you're playing song number 3. Ada je, I'm sure there's plenty of these things that happen. But performing and using your skill outside of just your comfort zone of your skill is what makes you learn more things.
So senang cerita, kalau kita tanya formal education dengan rock and roll mana lagi bagus, I would say sama je dua-dua kan sebenarnya. At some point you need both. Even yang belajar formal pun you need the experience and rock and roll, and you need to just layan apa yang orang buat. And maybe the good things about if you have formal education is you boleh relate lah benda ni, you boleh analyse benda tu, you boleh break down the whole thing.
I think it's also when we say rock and roll musician, we're not talking about just rock and roll. We're talking about those that come up self-taught. But sebagai self-taught musician too, the danger is bila your time of your style of play dah lalu, mungkin awak rock musician tapi rock dah lalu dan dah masuk hip hop dan sebagainya, or now mana ada guitar hero? It's all, I mean, since the indie rock scene is all straight out play. Very few guitar heroes. So
yalah, betul lah. Now that you mention, I baru realise.
Yeah. So if you have just concentrated on being a guitar hero, your career is pretty much over unless you're playing for your artists in the 1980s still.
Yeah.
So it's a constant change. It's a constant knowing what else that I can do. Can I use my rock guitar influence to put into pop music or to hip hop music? But I still need to understand that music. I still need to understand what is current, because if I don't stay current, even as a musician, you won't know. So study all the time. Study of the internet. Study of watching other people's songs. A lot of people listen to K-pop just to understand how does K-pop draw people to it, and that's not formal education. Your university doesn't teach you K-pop, or
it's not in the syllabus.
Yeah, it's not in the syllabus. Well, it might be, because it's now the biggest thing. Everybody wants to, let's learn how to make our music industry K-pop. Hello, it took 30 years, so it didn't
tak
happen.
fair kita terus nak tengok yang sekarang without looking at their history.
Biasa. How do we win a Grammy? How do we win an Oscar? How do we make our industry like Korea? Guys, this takes 30 years, okay? This doesn't take 30 seconds. So that's another podcast.
Another
podcast we'll talk about this. But yeah, I mean, education is all around us. Formal, informal, and there are also, I'm non-formal. I learned everything I did, from pushing amplifiers to gulung wire, okay? But I was curious enough to ask myself, hey, I better find out how this mixer works and why it has, what is a monitor? Why the lighting like that? What do people call this lighting, so that when I berbicara dengan a lighting engineer, I understand what he's trying to tell me. Is not like, what animal is he talking about? You know. So
animal. Tapi Kak Jenn, because you have this
punai. Oops, sorry. The punai joke came out.
I mean, you have the high level of curiosity. You let your inner child, that curiosity to take over and cakap, ni apa. But unfortunately, tak ramai orang yang macam ada that curiosity yang
That's
macam.
why we're here to tell you, you have to have an inner child. You have to be constantly curious, because the world is ever changing. You can't stop change, okay? Change is going to happen whether you like it or not. At my age, if you show me TikTok, I'm like, oh God, TikTok, no, help me. But I know I have no choice but to try and understand what it's about. If I don't, I'm going to get rolled over. It's as easy as that.
You akan lemas. I mean, ular pun dia nak grow, dia kena shred dia punya skin. Kalau tak, dia akan mati terperangkap. I mean, wah, nampak filosofi.
Bagus.
So that means kita tak boleh just stuck dekat satu benda tu. I mean, dunia ni bergerak, and pop music pun bergerak. Dulu orang mungkin suka traditional, lepas tu sebab traditional masa tu pop, lepas tu sekarang dah ballad, rock kapak, lepas tu lah ballad lah, lepas tu inilah ini. Sekarang everything evolve. So like it or not, you kena evolve. Tapi saya interested tadi nak tanya Kak Jenn, what do you think about the purists? I mean, macam tadi kan, rock and roll tu dia nak main rock je, lepas tu jazz tu dia nak main jazz je. So purist ni macam mana? Adakah diorang akan obsolete dalam dunia muzik ni at one point? Ke macam mana? Ke bagus ada purist ni?
Dia macam ni. If you want to be a purist, you better be the top of the purist. Because you become an icon, a legend. If you become an icon and a legend, people will look up to you, and your music will live all the way through the ages. I mean, people like M. Nasir, that song's going to live forever. You know, they're going to be studies, they're going to be rearranged, they're going to be redone over and over again. But even somebody like M. Nasir, he also changing with the times. Every time he does concert, he does something different. He tries to do something very different. And even our top composers and our top performers, you can see them constantly evolving. Might be something that's suitable for them, might be something that's not suitable, but they're still brave enough to experiment. Let's try. Let's see whether it is good or not. Music needs to appeal to generational change as well. Although I find it, I think the hard part is that we are not taught to appreciate stuff that is behind us.
Betul.
In school we are in formal education we're learning Beethoven and Bach, not Tan Sri Dato' SM Salim or.
Ya, betul. Sebenarnya kita tak diajar tentang our local,
Yeah. I mean, I find it absolutely necessary for us to understand the evolution of music as a whole. But in the end, you need to translate that to where you are in Malaysia. I'm not. If I play Beethoven, I'm not going to get anybody pay attention to me. I need to find out how I'm going to memelayukan Beethoven. Okay.
Betul.
So it's we need that to understand where we came from to go forward. We need the pop culture, and budaya pop ni saya rasa is very penting. Malaysia je yang tak faham budaya, the difference between budaya and budaya pop.
Pop culture, yep.
Yes, pop culture is something that's evolution. That's things going forward. And as much as I believe that this is important, budaya is very important, budaya pop is also very important.
I mean budaya pop yang tahun ni in 100 years time akan jadi budaya yang traditional, akan jadi klasik.
I mean, it's just like hip hop. Let's take hip hop for example. Have we gone totally off topic, by the way? But we take hip hop for an example. In the beginning, all those hip hoppers that came out are copying Americans, because that's where the culture of hip hop came from. So I copy, but then I figure out, they're singing about budaya that's not ours. I mean, people can sing about killing your mother and
sex,
what
drugs,
whatever,
things,
to hanging out in the club with my bitches and all that kind of things. It's a beach, okay? It's a beach with sunshine and beaches. Yeah, but anyway, we figure it out and then we make it into our own culture.
Yeah.
As you can see, Too Fat did that when they came in, and then they did collaboration Dua Dunia with Dato' Siti, and then you have Amanra with Budak Flat. It's talking about our problems and our culture.
You mean we bring our values?
Yes, to hip hop. So hip hop, whether you like it or not, I mean, music purists may say Adama, hip hop, talk about violence and sex. No, not in Malaysia. Malaysia, we don't
talk about those topics.
Yes, exactly. Because those topics don't matter to us. What matters to us is family values. I mean, whatever you say, we're Asian in the end. I don't care what you nak cakap ke, kita buat ke, mesti ada tahap ASEAN tu, Asian. We're not going to melepas. We're not going to go melenting at our parents for no reason, kan?
Yes.
Masih lagi 40 nak hide cigarette dekat belakang. Hi, Mak. You know,
betul.
Why is your hair on fire? No, it's nothing. So, we understand the importance of that culture that evolves our own culture.
Yep.
Because the kids, if we don't service these kids who, for example, like hip hop, they're going to look there.
Yeah.
So we might as well do something for those to service those people there. If we don't culture our kids about our music, the gemilangs, the gemuros, the whatever music comes out, they're going to be listening to Justin Bieber and Taylor Swift.
Yes.
Sorry, Taylor Swift, it's you again. So what I'm saying is, I have no problem that we look at the outside and appreciate the outside. I appreciate looking at Coldplay. I appreciate looking at Queen. But at the same time, I take that idea and that knowledge and think to myself, how do I do that here? How come Bon Jovi can make 8 albums and still bertahan? How do we make a rock band here do that? It's taking that idea and
you get inspiration basically from these people.
Yeah.
But still you bawa that inspiration and suit it with our values kan.
Yes, correct. And I think that's what we really have to learn to do, is to look for inspiration. Inspiration is everywhere.
It's everywhere.
It doesn't matter where it is from. And in the beginning you will copy, but eventually you learn to make it yours.
Yeah.
Whatever you're doing is you learn to make it yours. So music purists have to understand that music will change, and when we have to reach out to a newer generation, we have to change the music. If not, the newer generation isn't going to appreciate it.
Yeah.
Belagu, that's a pure example of of how to reach asli music can reach out to a younger generation. Betul. If we played classic Melayu classic the way it was played before, it might not be as interesting.
Yeah, this one I selalu bagi analogi, macam contohnya sekarang orang pakai baju Melayu, that's the culture, and then you pakai jeans, and then you pakai sneakers. I mean, that's how we people appears now. Budak-budak Gen Z ke apa ke, dia orang pakai begitu. So dia orang punya life sendiri dah memang mixture of traditional and modern. So imagine kalau you nak serve dia orang something yang you pakai tanjak, you pakai capal apa semua tu, tak semua orang akan boleh hadap benda tu. I mean, yes, masa maybe 200 tahun lepas benda tu lah the pop culture masa tu. But now the pop culture is different.
Yes, betul.
So kita kena bawa benda tu, elemen tu dalam bentuk yang lebih fresh dan muda, supaya budak-budak muda ni boleh relate. Sebab kalau kita tak isi macam Kak Jenn cakap tadi kan, kalau kita tak ajar dia orang benda-benda ni, even Piramli pun ada cakap benda ni, kalau kita tak ajar anak-anak kita ni dengan muzik kita, nanti dah ada dia orang ni kosong. Lepas tu dia orang akan masukkan barat punya muzik dalam muzik. Mahathir pula. Siapa nama dia? Piramli. Maaf.
Dish.
So dia pun dah cakap pasal benda tu. I mean, you are basically saying the same thing, which betul. Kalau kita tak isi benda tu, Kak Jenn, student saya yang budak-budak sekolah ada je yang tak tahu lagu-lagu tradisional. Jangan tradisional, lagu folk.
I literally, actually, I'm very sad to hear this kind of thing, because I believe that we really do need that foundation untuk faham budaya Malaysia. A lot of people like to call it budaya Melayu, but we have to face facts that Malaysia is based on budaya Melayu.
Yes.
So kita ambil budaya tu sebagai budaya Malaysia. And I think if we want to culture our kids, that music education bit, you have to use music at tadika level,
Yeah.
So all these true purist asli folk songs, wayang kulit, boria, ajar bila dia kecil. Because they have no perception of music.
Tak ada judgement, dia akan terima je.
The only thing that they know is London Bridge is falling down, Twinkle Twinkle Little Star. So if you're teaching them London Bridge and Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, which is fine, I think that's good too, so that at least they can communicate with other people outside of Malaysia. But at the same time, please teach them Lenggang Kangkong and Injek Semut and all the other folklore songs that we have.
Ini sebenarnya Kak Jenn, benda yang kita cakap ni adalah benda yang serious issues yang ramai gila orang tak nampak. Sebab orang kalau boleh nak apa orang kata musnahkan ataupun mansuhkan subjek muzik dekat sekolah, especially sekolah rendah. Dia orang rasa macam kelas muzik ni buang masa, belajar recorder
well,
lah.
I don't blame them because at the current moment, yes, class music is dulu lagu Keranamu Malaysia dan Jalur Gemilang. Okay, that's class music.
Itu zaman-zaman propaganda.
Yes. That's not when I look, ini class music ke ni? So yeah, I mean, if they taught real music in class, and it's as easy as teaching rhythm.
Yeah.
I don't care Inang ke Zapin ke what, you teach kids rhythm, you teach them and they become cultured.
Yes, benda tu. And saya nak menjawab ni, ataupun mungkin Kak Jenn boleh jawab. Saya tolak Kak Jenn dulu lah persoalan ni. Ini kita terima soalan daripada pemanggil bertuah kita. Tak ada. Sebenarnya topik hangat ni Kak Jenn, sebab orang nak masukkan benda tu. Of course kita set, kalau kita tak ada subjek muzik dekat sekolah rendah, bila kat mana kita nak ajar all this lagu lenggang kangkung semua ni kan. Okay, tak apa. Itu mungkin most people tak nampak benda yang kita cakap ni. Apa orang kata dogma dan indoktrin yang kita cakap ni. Tapi orang kata buang masa lah belajar recorder lah apa semua tu. So what's your say? Adakah okay untuk masukkan kelas muzik ni?
No.
And then recorder tu apa pula?
Music to me is never a waste of time. Music, I'm not a musician. I wish I was a musician. But I remember back in the day of listening to music. Music feeds your soul.
Yeah.
Music opens up a whole different world. You sit there and you imagine yourself in. And today I grew up, strangely enough, because there's only 2 radio stations. Of course, I grew up with Sharifah Aini, Sudirman, Ali Katz, DJ Dave, and all these artists. But at the same time, I grew up with the Carpenters.
Mm-hmm.
So, and now, just 2 days ago, I heard the Carpenters' music. My God, that music just pulled me straight back into the past.
That's magic.
I remember myself when I was a little kid. Wow, man, I listened to this music when I was young. So I think music has a very emotional attachment to it, which I think everybody needs to learn. Empathy, feelings. Yeah. You know what's the most incredible thing is when somebody writes on somebody's IG, your music saved my life.
Oh yeah.
That is
betul,
like,
betul.
whoa, man.
Your music saved my life. Your music really inspires me. I dah macam dah putus semangat, tapi your music helps me.
Your music helped me pass my exams. Your music gave me the inspiration to continue on. When you see that, you really understand how much music means to people. We take it for granted because we hear it in the elevator, we hear it in the car, we never think about it. But you know that music in the car probably stop you from whacking somebody, killing
betul,
somebody.
Betul.
So
kalau tak you tertidur ke, mengantuk ke apa.
I mean, people need to understand the value and how important music is. Then only they will see how important the education of music is to people. When they don't appreciate the value, that's why I said creative value in Malaysia is zero because people don't understand. Yeah. But for me, I just tell you, very easy. You take a movie, you take out all the music. You take an advertisement, you just take out all the music. You just watch the pictures rolling by with no music. Then you tell me whether you like. You watch a scary movie and you don't hear all the sound effects. Scared or not?
Yeah.
It becomes a totally different feel when it's no music. Your world is zero when you have no music to like push your feelings along and relate your feelings to that piece. Oh, I feel this. When I hear oboe, I feel sad. Yeah. It's, you know.
I mean, it helps you to express apa benda yang you tak tahu benda tu kan.
Yes.
I mean, yes, this is important yang orang tak nampak how music helps ataupun impact someone else's punya life kan. And of course itu kita bercakap pasal the empathy punya skill. Macam mana sebut empathy? Empathy entah whatever. So empathy tu I mean it helps the children. Kalau dia belajar muzik pada awal, dia help untuk train budak tu punya rasa empathy tu terhadap orang lain. Emotional EQ tu kan. Saya tak tahu exactly EQ
and IQ, emotional quotient
emotional
IQ,
quotient tu.
yes.
Sebab kita selalu fokus, parent ni fokus dekat IQ. Dia nak anak dia pandai sains, pandai matematik, pandai itu, pandai ini. Tapi what about the creative side tu, yang EQ? Sebab creative side tu you akan bawa the EQ tu. Anak you boleh rasa apa yang orang ni rasa, orang ni sedih, so dia becoming sensitive. Not just that, ini mungkin orang nak pakai boleh check benda-benda ni di mana kalau orang kata music subjek dekat sekolah rendah buang masa. So Kak Jenn dah bagi Kak Jenn punya point, which is the EQ punya part tu mostly. But also yang orang tak tahu, belajar muzik, baca-baca togeh semua tu, study banyak shows. Yang ni real Kak Jenn. Orang buat kajian di mana budak-budak kecil, especially yang 6, 7, 8 tahun ni, bila diorang belajar muzik, because dalam music tu kita ada basic matematik. You kena divide the beats. The beat tu you nak divide 1, divide 2, divide
so I can't do math.
Yeah. Basically budak belajar basic matematik. Not just that, bila diorang belajar the pattern, they get to recognize pattern. You know, this contohnya pattern, kalau 2 quaver pattern dia macam mana, triplet pattern dia macam mana. Nah, benda tu helps the kids in term of communication, because language, kita punya percakapan is all about the pattern. So dia tolong not just the EQ, but it's also tolong you communication. And then of course orang tanya pasal ni, yang kata apa recorder tu buang masa. Bukannya budak tu nak jadi musician pun. Dia selalu kalau orang tanya saya kan, kita jadi naik hangin lah kan. So ni macam ni cerita dia. Keluar cikgu ni, recorder tu semua orang tiup, semua keluar bunyi. So that's why dipilih sebagai alat rasmi dalam subjek muzik. Kalau bukan recorder, nak bagi anak hang main apa? Trumpet. Jenuh cikgu tu setahun mengajar seorang ni nak bagi bunyi trumpet dia. Ini satu kelas ada berapa orang pula dalam tu. So might as well pilih satu instrumen yang semua orang tiup bunyi.
That's a good point. I never thought of it that way.
Ya, sebab recorder senang nak main.
Betul.
Seruling pun
anybody can make noise out of it, so you don't get frustrated. Yes.
Sebab itu bukannya kelas muzik tu, bukannya kita nak buat semua budak ni jadi orkestra, tak. Dia just cukup untuk budak tu boleh keluar bunyi. Kita main satu note main lagu. Nak bagi main lagu, kalau nak bagi bunyi pun ambil masa setahun, itu tak payahlah buat kelas muzik kan. Sebab tu sekolah rendah biasanya tak ada orkestra. Ada je sekolah-sekolah rendah yang ada orkestra, tapi yang itu akan ada kelas khas, macam kelas koko khas. Tapi kalau subjek muzik yang hari-hari budak pergi ni, kena ada subjek, because kita bukan nak ajar dia orang jadi pemuzik ni, maklum kita bukan nak bagi dia orang jadi pemuzik. Kita just nak bagi dia orang, bayangkan budak-budak kecil tu dia baca muzik, dia kena main. So koordinasi jari. So dengan nak baca, dengan nak dengar, dengan nak main, kita train budak tu punya coordination muscles dia tu. Dia macam orang main sport. Parents kata pergi main sport, masuk bola, masuk ini. Yes, you engage bigger muscles, berlari apa semua. But what about muscle yang dekat jari? What about muscle yang dekat tekak ni bila you nak tiup, you punya diaphragm semua tu? These are all muscle yang you tak nampak, yang you belajar untuk control bila you dalam kelas muzik. Nampak tak? So, kalau you nak cancel kelas muzik, babe, anak you nak belajar benda-benda tu kat mana, babe? Cerita kat saya.
One is a gym instructor.
Nampak? Jari-jari sadar. I mean, that is the argument lah. I mean, of course you tak boleh bagi main seruling. Seruling orang dewasa pun I bagi seruling, belum tentu dia tiup kalau bunyi.
I mean, that's the same thing everybody says about education. Why do I need to learn history? Why do I need to learn geography? Why do I need... It's general knowledge.
It's general knowledge.
And it's for you to do what you will with it later on in life.
Itu up to you. I mean, saya bagi example this one. Saya kadang-kadang interesting. Kita sembang macam saya pure science. So saya pure science. So
God help.
Dulu mungkin saya terfikir macam, alah, aku kan nak pakai apa pun dalam science ni kan. But knowledge saya dalam science, physics, biology and chemistry, it helps me untuk pandang music tu in different light. Itu nombor satu. Nombor dua, it helps me in my life, daily life. For example lah, benda paling senang, sponge kita basuh pinggan tu, bila habis basuh, saya akan perah dia bagi kering. Saya tak nak bagi dia lembab. And kalau boleh, sinki tu semua kita bagi kering lepas kita guna. Sebab apa? Sebab bila keadaan lembab, itu bakteria and smell and macam mana benda yang basi boleh busuk is because bakteria tu dia punya, basically itu dia punya tai. I mean, if you understand this scientific
you learn
benda,
that from chemistry and not kesihatan.
Saya belajar benda tu dekat chemistry. I mean, if you have the knowledge, benda tu lah general knowledge. It helps you in your daily life. So tak adalah semua benda yang saya belajar zaman dulu tu
I think that, I mean, everything helps each other. Even doing music and creativity opens your mind to be able to think out of the box.
Yeah, betul.
So when you're a CEO later in life or a CFO, your creativity is not 1 + 1 is 2. 1 + 1 could be 5 if you know how to do it. So there's always a way out of things if you look at it creatively, constructively.
Betul.
So
subject music is just a tool, but think beyond apa benda yang budak tu belajar. You know, the problem solving. Nampak motor pun itu problem solving. Saya tak faham kenapa motor kena bunyi kuat-kuat. Okay, never mind. So problem solving. So budak tu, dia punya creativity, problem solving skill yang dia dapat daripada kelas music tu, dia akan pakai dalam, you know, dia jadi marketer ke, direct marketing ke, salesperson ke. Skill ni sebab basically you train your brain untuk jadi kreatif. So not necessarily you kena main music untuk jadi kreatif. that creativity you boleh apply dalam aspek you punya kehidupan seharian lah. So janganlah kecil sangat pemandangan tu. Penat juga ni cakap ni.
I mean, the problem is education has so many aspects, you know.
Yes.
We're talking about music education for older people going into the industry. We're talking about music education being the foundation untuk budak-budak kecil untuk faham, not to become musicians but just to have a more bigger outlook. And I think music education there's so many aspects. The people who are going to teach the teachers to teach the music education also is another hal there. Another hal there. Because
banyak level kan?
Yes, dia banyak level. In order to be able to teach here, somebody here has to learn how to teach here. So there's a lot. I mean, we understand how difficult it is to get a system going and a bunch of teachers going for people to understand why you need music. But I think we need to start somewhere with the arts and with culture. True. And Malaysia needs to learn that we need these kind of things to help us grow in the right direction for our own culture and for our own music industry.
Betul. Itu saya agree. And to be honest, benda-benda yang arts, benda-benda yang culture ni lah, I mean, kita orang bekerja dalam industri seni. Benda yang saya suka pasal industri seni adalah bila kita bekerja, kita tak ada like racial punya issues ke apa benda. You know, this is space, this macam mana, ruang yang kita bekerja dengan Chinese, bekerja dengan Indian, bekerja dengan a lot of people, and kita berkawan dengan semua orang. So kita tak ada that segregation bila kita bekerja. So arts really brings people together. Culture, it brings people together. So kalau kita tak cultivate benda tu, sampai bila pun keadaannya akan jadi macam sekarang je lah. Something has to change. And I would say, maybe kita bias sebab kita orang seni, but kita perlu naikkan lagi, tingkatkan lagi art education.
No, we're not biased, we're right.
Okay. Kak Jenn cakap macam tu, I agree. Anyway Kak Jenn, I think cukup kot untuk hari ini. Next,
I rasa kita tidak boleh nafikan that formal education is berfaedah.
Yes, betul.
But kejayaan seorang pemuzik atau artis tidak bergantung kepada formal education.
Itu saya agree.
I think both of them have shown, both
non-formal dengan formal
and formal have both made impact in our music industry.
Yes.
You can see that everywhere we look, and not only in our industry but all industries around the world. Jimi Hendrix is not a studied musician, and there's so many people that are not studied musician but yet made an impact on the music industry and society. So I think the kunci kejayaan to music is actually the talent, the bakat, the creativity, and working hard. I think working hard is everything.
Is everything. Kalau saya nak conclude benda ni, nampak.
Silakan.
I mean, kalau you seorang yang talented, you seorang yang nak pursue dalam sebagai artis, maybe the right question to ask is bukan perlu ke dia belajar muzik ataupun tak perlu. Maybe the right question yang you perlu tanya adalah what you want to do with your talent.
That's mindset.
That's mindset kan?
So it doesn't matter what your latar belakang pendidikan is. Whether you didn't study at all, you quit at standard 6, you quit at standard form 5, it doesn't matter.
What you want to do.
What do you want to do? I agree. Absolutely.
So Kak Jenn, shall we kita jumpa lagi diorang ni untuk minggu depan. Tapi kalau ada komen ke, ada benda yang nak disampaikan, tak setuju ke, nak gaduh, janganlah gaduh kan, tapi macam nak bincang.
Gaduh. Okay.
Dia bakar. Kalau ada apa-apa opinion, just komen dekat bawah. Nanti mungkin kita boleh kupas benda-benda tu. Jangan lupa untuk follow social media Belakang Pentas MY, dan subscribe kita punya YouTube channel. So kita akan kembali lagi minggu hadapan dengan topik yang lebih best.
Thanks for marketing. Okay guys.
Okay.
See you soon.
Bye.